Hi, and welcome back to my channel, where we are starting our Valentine's Day celebrations today. I'm here in all my semi-Regency romance glory, and today we are going to be playing round one of Valentine's Day Bingo. Well, Valentine's Day book trope bingo, anyway. Our first round will be filled with classic romance books, including one Regency romance bodice ripper. And round two will be filled with romantasy goodies. Now, obviously, I cannot possibly manage to read 24 books in like the 90s. I had to film this. So I will be filling in some of the squares with recommendations that I have from old faves. I think we'll start off with the book that I chose to match today. If you're new to the channel, by the way, I feel like there's a lot of you. I do choose to match an outfit to a book cover in every video, hence the Licator name. So today I'm matching Sarah McLean's A Rogue by Any Other Name. Occasionally I do love to fit in a good bodice ripper or Regency romance, take your pick, whatever you want to call them. And I'm not going to say that this is a fantastic one. I've heard good things about her Bombshell series. Maybe I'll try that one next. But I don't think the first rule of Scoundrel series is necessarily my jam. This is about the Marquess of Bourne, who a decade ago decided he was going to bet big and gamble away every dime he had, all the furniture and all of his land in this one giant gamble. But he decides to do away with his gambling problems, and he solves this by becoming the owner of like a gambling den. He calls himself like the angel of it, and it's known as like hell. I can't make this stuff up. But he's missing two things from his past. His land, he's pretty darn wealthy and can buy his land back, but no one's selling. And his dear sweet childhood friend, Lady Penelope Marbury. Now, she is past her prime at this point, and her dad is not thrilled, okay? He wants to marry her off, he wants to marry her two sisters off, and he's like, Pen, you're ruining everything. Can you please just pick a freaking husband already? And she's like, I guess I'll marry this guy I've known for a while. He's like a friend. He's fine. Lo and behold, her dad has sweetened the deal with her dowry and thrown in this property he's just acquired. And it happens to be, of course, the Marquess of Bourne's old property. Now she's wandering around it one night. It's dark, it's late, she's got a lantern. She sort of thought she saw someone sneaking around, and she's like, these are not good times to be sneaking around. I changed my mind. Be an animal, don't be a person. That would actually be worse. And out pops the Marquess of Bourne, and he throws her over his shoulder, as they do in these books, and stomps off to his old house, which is dusty and disgusting, and he makes a makeshift little bed and is like, I'm not going to officially ruin you, but I'm going to ruin you. You're going to have to marry me, and I'm going to get my land back, and you're going to be my wife. And she's like, we used to be friends. What is wrong with you? We were chatting nicely for a minute there. What are you doing? And he's like, sorry, I just want my land. Yeah, no, Bourne was a jerk. I did not enjoy his character. I think Penn put up with way too much crap and did not give enough crap back. I know that's not the time period, but something about her character was not clicking. But for my bingo board, we absolutely fulfilled the requirement of forced marriage. And yes, I got a cute little stamper. It is a little kiss. Score one for forced marriage. A rogue by any other name. We're not going to get any better than that. There is our first filled square on a bingo board. I'm going to say this was like, would I even give it a 3? I would not recommend this. It wasn't like offensively bad. It was just, there's so much better out there. If you want to try Regency romance, don't pick this one. But the dress came first, so when I saw this on my shelf, it was kind of a no-brainer. The next book, this unique copy of My Dark Romeo, they actually are just straight up selling on Amazon if you're interested. I was really curious to see what their special editions would be like. And this is by Parker S. Huntington and L.J. Shen. There's so many quotes they put all over this. You will forever be my perfect Dark Romeo. Some Romeos deserve to die. And you're my favorite plot twist, which I obviously my favorite quote, but you know, that's just me, Miss Romantic over here. So this is about the incredibly beautiful Dallas, who apparently maintains her perfect figure by eating nothing but junk food, and that might be the biggest fantasy of all in here. And she is the daughter of this incredibly wealthy man. It starts off at this ball. She sees Romeo there, and yes, that's actually his name. He's this tan, like 6-something with light eyes, and you get the drift, okay? He's completely gorgeous, but he's dark and dangerous because he like, helps run his family's arms dealing business. And she's the only one, of course, who's not fawning all over him. She does go over and meet him at one point, but just because she wants the shortbread on his table, like I said, total junk food addict. At this point, he's like, look, I know what your life is like. I know you're engaged to this guy that you like is mostly an arranged marriage. Why don't you come out to the garden with me and let me offer you at least a taste of what you could be having? And she's like, you're gonna bring the shortbread? And he's like, yep. She's like, okay, let's go. She meets him out there and she's like, this is the perfect place. He's like, no, I know a better place. We'll never get caught, I promise. It's total setup. He makes sure daddy catches her, like, in a very compromising position. The only way you can save her reputation, what year is this, is to have her marry me instead of her fiance. You know, her fiance is not going to go for it now that she's ruined. They get married. It's an enemies to lovers story. The snark is pretty great. It was funnier than I thought it was going to be. There were a lot of scenes I enjoyed. The decadence is great. He's a billionaire. His house is amazing. There's lots of shopping and gifts and all kinds of stuff like that. She's trying to punish him in really funny ways when he messes up. He loves order and neatness, and she will just be a total, like, lazy slob on purpose, and it is really, really funny to watch. And she'll, like, go and befriend all of his household staff and sort of sneak around and get their help to do it. He'll punish her back by, like, throwing out her favorite junk food or, like, hiding her credit card. Like, it's pretty funny. When they get together, I'm gonna say they're like spicy scenes are definitely supposed to be a little more like hinting toward BDSM, a little darker, a little spicier. There is one where, like, I'm not gonna lie, he gets shot in the most ridiculous possible scene in the entire world. And like, because he's bleeding during a spicy scene, I think it's supposed to be very like scandalous. But if you've read anything like Den of Vipers, it's not that wild. Was it super soapy and super over the top? Yes, completely. But you know what? I enjoyed it. I really did. I'm gonna say for spice, like 3 peppers maybe. They wanted the smut. They were there for the smut. They tried to be a little more creative. They tried to be a little more edgy. I think they accomplished what they wanted to. So on my bingo board, this was my billionaire trope. Except let's talk about the honey don't list. So Christina Lauren, I've read from and loved before. The Unhoneymooners continues to be one of my favorites, and I read The True Love Experiment, and I really liked that one, so I was like, okay, this is from 2020. The cover was so Valentine's Day. I was like, this has got to be good. So this is about a couple, and they are working behind the scenes on this TV show for like an HGTV type show that is run by a husband and wife. And the husband and wife have just put out a book about like marriage advice and how to stay together, and they are not getting along at all. They cannot stand each other, and their 2 assistants, Carrie, who is trying to like help Melissa out, and they've been friends since the beginning. A new assistant, James, who is like this engineer. He has this degree from MIT, and he's basically fetching coffee for Rusty, Melissa's husband. They are trying to keep everything running behind the scenes on this book tour while they know Rusty like cheated on Melissa. Melissa knows it. She is pissed, but like also doesn't super care. She just wants everything to stay together. They have a new show that's about to come out. They're on their book tour. They just need to like hold it together for the audience. Forced proximity. They're on a bus together. It's entertaining watching one couple snipe and snark and hate each other, and the other couple, the main couple we're following, find love through all of that. Christina Lauren is always going to be funny. She's always going to be spicy. She's almost always gonna give me what I love in a romance novel, and I did really, really enjoy this one. When the sparks flew, they were like less fireworks, more like sparklers. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I usually expect a tiny bit more, but what was actually completely hysterical running through the entire book was there was this transcript coming from police stations. You knew it was just gonna finally explode and everyone was just gonna lose their crap at the end despite trying to hold everything together. And James, I have to say, really is a huge champion for Carrie at a lot of points, but for an MIT engineer, he's a total idiot, and I totally don't believe that this super smart guy would have let the miscommunication and third act disaster breakup happen in the way that it did. He's smarter than that, and that is where the book kind of lost me. In terms of spice, this was pretty typical for Christina Lauren. They're usually like 2.5. This is about typical for them. Nothing super exciting, but pretty good when they get there. It was a good time. I enjoyed it until the third act breakup. Ugh, why? This one I'm gonna say was like 3.5 stars for me, I think. And this fulfills my workplace romance trope. There we go, in the little bottom corner. Next up is probably my least favorite read, and it genuinely took me like 3 months to get through this book. I was expecting fall delightfulness, and Kate Goldbeck did not deliver. First of all, this book takes place over like 10 years. Why do I keep reading Friends to Lovers and books based on When Harry Met Sally when I don't like the movie? If that's how it's being pitched to me, and I don't like the movie because of Meg Ryan and New York in the Fall, and I'm like convinced I hate that movie because of Billy Crystal. This is like a gender swapped version of it, okay? We have Ari and Josh, and when they first meet, like, the sparks fly, but they are not good sparks, okay? They are, like, fighting in a kitchen. Josh is a chef who was, like, yelling at Ari's friend, and Ari's like, wow, you are a jerk, and I don't like you. Eventually, they end up dating the same woman. Ari is free-spirited, and, like, that happens. And eventually, they hook up as well. And I feel like once you have that hookup, once it happens, you are either going to get together or you're not. And if you're not, there better be a really good reason. And not just because Ari is a freaking idiot and has cold feet and like Josh is going to be pining and be this great guy and be this total like dish rag of a man who like wrings out his feelings on her and then is going to get stepped on. And that's okay. Somehow they're still going to be friends over and over and over again. And he's going to pine forever, and then eventually they're going to have some amazing, magical, wonderful, suddenly well-written scene at the end where she confesses her feelings because she suddenly has normal human romantic feelings as opposed to like, I don't believe in love ever, at all, completely, never, ever. That is the book. I could not stand Ari's character. I could not understand Ari's character. And the pining from Josh, I need a strong male character. I can do cinnamon roll male characters, but I don't want to watch a character be jerked around and stepped all over, okay? That is not my thing. That is never going to be an enjoyable reading experience for me. And like 400 pages of it, almost. Why did I read this? So I did not enjoy this. This was not my jam. I know a lot of people really did like this because it made the Goodreads Choice Awards. I did not. I don't even remember the space. Genuinely do not remember it, if there was any. So that should tell you everything you need to know about it, if it was in there. So 2 stars. This fulfilled my Friends to Lovers trope. It continues to be a trope that doesn't work for me, but there's the little kiss. There's the little kiss. Okay. Thankfully, it does get better from here. Oh no, I lied. There's one more stinker to get out of the way. Now, Tessa Bailey, we have just had the most tumultuous relationship. Secretly Yours. Look at this cover. Tell me this does not look like the cover of a book I'm going to love. And it sounds like something I should love. Hallie Welch fell hard for Julian Voss at 14. He was a senior, she was a freshman. He went out to school, he became a professor. He's like Mr. Grumpy, she's Miss Sunshine. She's back in town and she's a gardener. There's a wine shop she wants to stay in, so it connects to his family's vineyard. All of these things are things that I should freaking love. And then it gets better. We've got the You've Got Mail thing going on. She writes an anonymous letter and sticks it to a bush where he runs every day, and now he's getting these cute letters. I did not love this book. I was bored. The writing was just a little dull. The pacing just felt a little off. He never wrote letters back, which was hugely disappointing. I don't think the parts that were supposed to be funny were that funny. And then, okay, here's my main thing. It could have been saved with the Smut. Tessa Bailey can save her books with Smut. No grown woman should ever be, and I quote, blowing a raspberry on any male part ever in a spicy scene. 0 peppers. 0 for that. I was done. I was just done at that point. Blowing raspberries on someone's jingle bells. Nope. So, that was our small town romance. Let's talk about something where I got lots of satisfaction. Let's talk about Smut. Baby. Latte Darling by S.J. Tilly. This was my first experience with S.J. Tilly. This is an edition from Fabled, and I didn't take it seriously enough. Look at it. Look how cute. It literally says darling. I was like, oh, okay. And what's the premise? Maddie is going out on a date. She's curvy, so she's a little insecure. She's like 31 though. She has her own coffee shop. She has her own house. She's got it together. She is like kind of pin-up-esque, shall we say, and she's sitting there waiting for her date, and this silver frickin' fox, like thick as a tree, walks in. Okay, now silver foxes don't always do it for me, but every once in a while they can get it. And walks Mr. Silver Fox, and he's down at her table, and he's like, are you Maddie? And she's like, you're not my date. And he's like, no, your date's my son. He lied about his age. He's not 25, and he's grounded right now. And they have instant chemistry. Like, this is just Smut. This is just smutty smut, 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 smut. Axel is thick everywhere, and he has his own body shop, by which I mean for cars, long divorced wife, and you know, he has a grown son, and he's like, I don't deserve this beautiful young woman, but they totally end up falling for each other. And yes, the Smut's fantastic. If you like baby girl daddy stuff, this is age gap. This has all of those typical tropes, a little bit of like punishment stuff going on. Yeah, it's in there. I will say their relationship also gave them both healing from wounds, especially Maddie, that they needed to heal from. And I was surprised at the depth that they built it, and they ended up being really, really good for each other. Now, was the book absolutely at least half smutty scenes? 100%. This is a solid, like, 3-star smut fest. And if you love coffee, like, it is everywhere in this book. This is completely appropriate, I will say. So, yeah, no, this was a good one. A great age gap romance. Now, back in December, I'm counting this because I haven't talked about it yet. I did read Magnolia Parks finally. I don't even know how to describe this book. This is about two extremely wealthy, like, early 20-somethings in London who are just living their best life. They're traveling, they're shopping, they're doing their social media influencing. So we've got Magnolia and BJ Valentine. It's Valentine, but we're counting it. So these two were former lovers, and they broke up for reasons that we don't quite know. They're completely toxic, and you know they love each other, and you know they want each other, but for some reason they will not be together. He's screwing around, and she's trying to like find a boyfriend, and you're like, what are you two idiots doing? You're Blair and Chuck. You're Blair and Chuck from Gossip Girl. If you know, like I do, that the reboot was just a freaking absolute disaster, and you're like, what do I do with my life now? Because I have Gossip Girl memorized. And you're like, give it to me in book form. You're welcome. Get to the UK covers. The US ones are terrible. I loved this. It was so toxic. It was such a train wreck. I was reading Gossip Girl. I was living in Gossip Girl. I was loving it. Is it the next great novel? No, but was the writing like shockingly profound in random sentences here and there? Yes. I totally lapped this book up, and I can't wait to read the next one, which is about Magnolia Parks' best friend, Daisy Hates. I think Daisy Hates is dating like a drug dealer or mob lord. I don't know. It's all gonna be so much fun. This is going down for my bad boy, good girl romance. I would also call it just flat out toxic, but there you go. Next, I decided to read The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I decided to read this because Ash from Books to Ashes is reading this, and she's loving them. So I thought, yeah, let's do it. In case you didn't know, I am such a Disney girl living in a Disney world. We actually went to Disney World for our honeymoon, okay? I can sing any Disney song at any given moment, and that was before I became a mom. So be scared. This is about Rowan and Zara. Rowan is one of the 3 grandsons of like We're gonna just call him Granddaddy Disney. Okay. Granddaddy Disney has sadly passed away, and he is splitting up his business as a result. At the reading of his will, all of his 3 grandsons got this task that they have to perform. So Rowan has to do something for the company in the next 6 months that shows like he cares about the company and it improves it in some like meaningful way. And he is like, great, I'm gonna make everyone work like 12-hour days and be like this super hard boss, and like that's my plan. And then we've got Zara, who was once betrayed by a guy when he submitted a proposal idea she had once already for the parks. When Rowan decides, I'm gonna open up submissions for park ideas for everyone, she drunkenly submits a park submission idea that's not an idea at all. It's basically just bashing the park's biggest, best, like most expensive ride. Rowan calls her into his office. She's like, I'm so getting fired. But he's like instantly attracted to her, and he's like, I'm gonna make you one of their like Imagineers. They're called creators, I think, in this park. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, no, you've got like ideas, clearly. And she does. All she does is come up with these amazing ideas, but she can't draw for crap. We've got another You've Got Mail thing. Rowan is like secretly hiding behind some other name, doing behind the scenes drawings for her and communicating, and of course that comes out eventually. It always does. And they're just really cute together. It's so Grumpy Sunshine, like beyond Grumpy Sunshine. The chemistry was great. You love that like forbidden workplace romance. That's what I didn't get from the Honey Don't List. That like really forbidden, you shouldn't thing. The texting back and forth was great. Seeing them finally fall for one another. I really liked this one. The smut was pretty good. I did enjoy the smut. It was still vanilla, but it was really good what was done. And yeah, I really loved this one. I'm really excited to read the next one. I think it's got like an arranged marriage thing going on, which should be really, really fun. This was my Grumpy Sunshine one because I thought she was like the most sunshine. And if you're gonna have a Grumpy Sunshine, it should take place in Disney World, right? So right over the sunshine, there is our Grumpy Sunshine. This was one of my favorite reads, and this smut was some of the most well written. I will give it that. Only smut that kind of gave it a run for its money, and I think maybe I might have potentially liked better. Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. Everyone said this was like such a copy paste from The Love Hypothesis, and I really enjoyed that. I did, but I didn't think this was total copy paste, especially because the ending went freaking crazy. I don't think I necessarily loved that, but this couple, like, they just had me kicking my heels and giggling and swooning in a way that I don't think any other couple quite accomplished. This is about Bea and Levi, and they both went to like grad school together, and they were only there for like a year. And it's very clear from the get-go that Levi had like the biggest crush on her ever, but she is, despite being this amazing like neurologist, stupid and couldn't figure that out. They both think that they're married when they get back together for this big project at NASA, and she's convinced he hates her because he's like reticent and like can barely speak around her. He likes her that much, and she's like, I know you hate me, and like I have purple hair and I'm like out there and wild and crazy, and I get it, it's fine, but we'll deal with it. And he's like, that's not it, but he never finishes that sentence or thought, but it's fine. It's so cute. There's a damsel in distress scene where she gets like stuck in a graveyard and he has to like go rescue her, and that was the scene where it like flipped for me. That was the scene when I was like, I love this book. It's official. There's this great secondary couple. Her assistant is this like monotone goth, and like she is hilarious, and she instantly like freezes and falls in this insta-love with this like bubbly Elle Woods blonde, like brilliant cheerleader type who's like, oh yeah, I'm just here for the summer until I go get my PhD at Johns Hopkins. Oh, I love them so much. Everything about this couple is so cute, and when they finally freaking kiss, it's so good. I can't wait to read Bride now. I'm so excited. I am gonna cram it in before my next video. Oh, I didn't even tell you. This has also got the You've Got Mail trope, which is one of my favorites. She has this site called What Would Marie Do? And she has all these female scientists writing their gripes in, and he's on there talking to her as a guy named Schmack and like supporting her as guys don't usually do, and he has snuck into her DMs, and they're really good friends, and they're always supporting each other. And he's talking to her as this guy who's in love with this girl, at his workplace, and you know it's about her, and the confessions he's making and the things he's saying are just melting your heart. Even with its flaws, I'm giving it 5 stars. I don't care anymore, but I loved this book. I chose this one for the You've Got Mail trope because it did have the text. Like when he wrote her some of the confessions, I want to push her up against a wall and have her push back. This one got me good. So there, You've Got Mail. How do I not have bingo yet? This is ridiculous. I really didn't plan this out. I'm actually not going to achieve bingo, am I? The last one that I actually read for the video was the Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. I really wanted to read one of her books, and I knew that like Part of Your World is supposed to be a bit more serious, and I wasn't feeling it. And The Friend Zone has this like infertility thing, and I can't have any more kids after my first one, and like it wasn't really by choice. So I decided to go for the second in the series. Playlist it was. So this is about Sloane, who lost her fiance 2 years ago. She's like kind of doing okay, but like she hasn't dated really. She's not quite moved on. Like all of his clothes are like still in the house, and she happens to be like literally driving like to or from the graveyard. She thinks she hits a dog. She like barely nicks him, and the dog like jumps up on her car and jumps through the roof of her car and just sits there and smiles at her. She takes the dog to the vet and gets him patched up and takes the dog home and starts spamming the owner, Jason, with messages. Finally, he gets back and calls, and he's like, hey, I'm so sorry. I was away for work. My friend was supposed to be watching the dog, and apparently she completely flaked. I'm so sorry. And she's like, well, your dog's mine now. It's been 2 weeks. About a week in, I spent a fortune on this dog, and I decided it's mine. He's like, what? You can't do that. And she's like, fine, prove you love this dog. So he's sending her pictures and all this stuff. They're texting back and forth, and he's like, I have to go away for work again. Will you watch my dog for me? And she's like, I love your dog. So they're texting, they're getting to know each other, they're falling for one another, they're so excited to meet each other. It's funny, and it's sweet, and it's romantic, and they fall so hard so fast, and you just believe their feelings immediately. You've got the dog, and then you come to find out, oh wait, he's been away because he's this famous musician, and he was on tour, and the friend recognizes him from the photos. She tries going on tour, and it's kind of a disaster, and his ex is lurking in the background. She's famous and wants to be on tour because she's a singer too, and you get the drift. I enjoyed this, but halfway through the book starts to get sad and bittersweet, and I think that's just Abby Jimenez's thing. It's well written, it's done well, his family's great. You get the whole full picture of a very realistic feeling relationship. This really does feel like what would happen, you know, if you were to date someone famous, and instead of getting all like the sunshine and rainbows and all the like fun stuff that you usually get in these types of books, you do get a real sense of, oh, it's not as fun as it sounds. Being on tour sounds awful. It's not particularly smutty. Like, you have romance scenes, but they're not like, you know, super detailed, shall we say. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. But I think Abby Jimenez is someone I need to be like in a good headspace to read her books, because they are just not like light, fluffy fun romances, and that's more what I wanted. This just got a little too serious for me. Good book. I do recommend it, but I just don't think I was in like the perfect headspace for it. I didn't even list this book, so let's see if it fits into any of the ones that are left. We'll do Hidden Identity because he does not tell her who she is. So Hidden Identity, and we finally got a bingo! Woo! Well, you're getting some other ones on here as well. Cool. I just won't stamp one of them. For Royal Romance, I chose The Royal We because I feel like nobody talks about this book, and I loved it so much. This is by Heather Cox and Jessica Morgan. This is basically a Kate and William retelling, except we take it one step further, and Kate is American Rebecca Porter. Rebecca, or Bex, is studying abroad at Oxford, and she finds herself living down the hall from Prince Nicholas, Great Britain's like future king, and they just can't help but falling in love. But they, like, obviously, like, the paparazzi is like kind of stalking them, and that's a whole problem, and the pressures are huge, and she has to decide, is she willing to like give up basically her entire life to be in love with the future monarch. I loved this book so much. I love the whole royal romance thing. I love the whole like British royal thing. You could like see how much it was influenced by the romance. You could see the parallels. I don't think it was particularly spicy, but that wasn't the point. And then there is a sequel. It is a duology, and the next one's about the royal heir. And I did read it around Valentine's Day the first time I read it, and it's just adorable. So if you're looking for a royal romance, I do highly recommend this one. And that's what I had it down here for. Maybe I'll save that one. There's a lot of royal romance in fantasy. We'll save that one, but I do recommend it. I also wanted to recommend for second chance romance. I haven't heard anyone talk about this in a while, and it's so cute. The Bromance Book Club by Alyssa K. Adams. It's a whole series basically of guys starting their own book club and reading like romance novels and figuring out like what women want, and they'll try and like literally reenact scenes. I do mean all the scenes, to give women what they want. So this is Gavin, and he realizes his marriage is in trouble when his wife admits that he's never given her the big O, like ever. His wife's like, yeah, I want a divorce. And he's like, wait, no, I didn't actually. No, I don't know. His friends are like, come join the book club. We will help you. You'll be fine. So with the help of courting the countess, he is reenacting like wooing scenes and gifting scenes, and yes, learning what his wife likes or might like in the bedroom scenes. And it's great watching this guy put in that effort when he realizes he's about to lose someone he realizes he really loves. It's wonderful. And each book has them reading a different romance and solving a different problem using those books. They're so fun. I really do need to read the rest of them. I remember just eating this up. I think I read it in a day. It was funny. It was fun. It was sexy. So if you're looking for a second chance romance that's a little bit different, and that they're still married, this is a great one. I loved it so much. So I am gonna stamp this one for second chance romance because I cannot possibly read this many books in the next 4 days. I think I have myself 4 days to read each genre. And finally, I want to do Bodyguard romance. I think it's such a fun one. And I have two options. Okay, the first one is Twisted Games by Anna Huang. We've got a princess, Bridget, and her bodyguard, and she is stubborn, she is spicy, she is fun, and she is driving her freaking bodyguard out of his mind because she will not stay put, she will not follow directions, and she is just, of course, tempting and gorgeous and lovely and everything he could possibly ever want. And Reese has like two rules, right? Like, protect his clients, duh, and don't become emotionally involved. And what do you think he does? Yeah, their chemistry was so good. I enjoyed the spicy scenes. I enjoyed all kinds of stuff. She wants him. She knows she can't have him. She's supposed to marry like the good of the kingdom and the forbidden love, the bodyguard stuff, and the spice was really good if I recall correctly. Like, I love a guy in charge. Okay, that's always what you're kind of gonna get from me on this channel. That's where it's at for me. That's what I enjoy. What do you think a bodyguard's gonna be like? He can't have her, but he's taking her anyway. Come on, bodyguard romance. But if that's not quite what you're feeling, Catherine Center did a great gender swapped one where we've got a girl who is pretending to date a movie star because he's kind of got this like sort of stalker who's hanging around him, right? And the best part about her is how like innocuous she looks, but she could like take you out with a freaking ballpoint pen, okay, despite looking like a kindergarten teacher. And she is pretending to date this movie star, so nobody really suspects that he's like in danger because his mom, she is sick and like he doesn't want to worry her. So naturally he's like, yeah, I want the cute tiny one who can pretend to be my girlfriend and still protect me without anyone worrying and hang out with me when I go visit my family. They live on like a Texas ranch, or when I'm filming around my hometown. Like, that's what I want. So if you want the gender flipped fake dating version of a bodyguard romance, definitely check out Catherine Center's The Bodyguard. I loved this so much. It was so funny, so cute. They definitely have some spice and there's some sparks, but their romance is sweet too. Anytime you get a lot of like family scenes in there, you know there's gonna be like sweetness as well. So if you want spicier, here you go. If you want a little sweeter, here you go. Gender flipped, traditional, whichever way you want to go with the bodyguard trope. I don't think you can go wrong with it because it always is just such a good one, isn't it? there you go. We are halfway through our super fun bingo board. I'll be doing all of them with romantasy books. We'll see how many books I can get through in 3 or 4 days. I already read one. It wasn't great. Thank you so much for joining me in my first Valentine's video. I enjoyed being your Regency romance lady-in-waiting guide to Valentine's Day book trope bingo. I had so much fun shooting this one. I hope you enjoyed and got some good recommendations, or at least were reminded of some of your favorite romance book tropes. I will let you get back to your books. Hopefully they are spicy and sweet, and I'll be getting back to mine because, wow, do I have a lot of reading to do in the next few days before I shoot the next round of this and finish off our bingo board. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you're reading for Valentine's Day, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye.